All right. Good morning, everybody, for showing up bright and early in the morning, especially Shana this morning. So my name is Nikki Caboose. I'm the VP of Development at Palm Beach Tech. And this morning, we're going to talk about some co-working spaces that are more than just co-working, that are doing a lot in our communities. I would like to actually, if I can start by just sharing my screen. And let me know if you guys can see it with like a little thumbs up. There we go. Thank you. All right. So to start off this morning, our community coffee, more than just co-working is the topic. We've got Shana Ostrovitz, Executive Director at 1909, Tim Hassey, the founder at General Provision, and Rachael Bickford, Managing Director at Lab Miami. And we will give you guys a moment to tell us a little bit about yourselves in just a second here. A little bit about us at Palm Beach Tech Association. So first off, our sponsor is South Florida Business and Wealth. And we will also hear from Mark right after this little introduction to tell us a little bit about them. Our whole goal and mission is building South Florida into a tech hub. So Palm Beach Tech is wholeheartedly committed to building a welcoming, collaborative, and inclusive community for all. We put inclusivity first, engage with others, and are considerate to all, and don't sell to people. So in short, we welcome everybody in our community, from tech, companies to startups, our accelerators, everybody that's part of our community, and without making sure that we're inclusive of everybody. Here's some of our current members. We've got startup companies all the way to our much larger, like Office Depots, Digital Resources, and of course some startups like Boca Code, who we have on here today as well. So thanks, Todd. So a little bit more about our events. Right now, we currently have at least 4 events a week, and we've got different annual and quarterly events that we're doing as well. A little bit about them is our tech talks. We've got Monday nights. We do have them half hour early. You can actually come in at 5:30 p.m. and do a full half hour of networking before the presentation. We have podcasts Wednesdays, our community coffees, obviously this morning on Tuesdays. Workshops are always on Fridays at 10 a.m. And then we actually have our annual hackathon that's coming up October 23rd through 25th. It is going to be all virtual this year. And so if anybody's a developer, designer, project manager, we're definitely looking for you. A little bit more about our membership. So I'm not going to obviously go through all of our membership benefits, but we do have everything from exclusive member portal, speaking opportunities, different spotlights, peer groups. We currently have about 8 different peer groups that Monica's actually been doing a really good job of. And if anybody wants more information on them, you can actually go to southfloridатech.com or palmbeachtech.org and get some more information there. Anybody that is not a part of our Slack channel, you can join that at southfloridатech.com/Slack, or to be added to our newsletter, our emailing list, you can actually just text us at 561-250-7206 and just text us your email address and we'll make sure to add you to that. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to actually ask Mark if you would like to come on and tell us a little bit about South Florida Business and Wealth.
That'd be great, Nikki. Thanks so much. Sure. Appreciate it. And thanks for having us today. And we appreciate and enjoy our partnership with Palm Beach. So thanks for that. And good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Let me tell you a little bit about South Florida Business and Wealth. You'll hear us refer to as SFBW, which is how our friends and family know us and everyone in the community. We're a monthly business magazine serving the markets of Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County, distributed to about 20,000 C-suite and senior level executives each month with the hard copy and also a digital edition. But we're so much more than just a magazine. We help our clients connect with the community through a lot of different methods, including a robust portfolio of digital and social media strategies, including our weekly e-newsletter and also our thought leadership pieces that run on our website. And of course, like everyone else, we've gone virtual, and we supplement a lot of our strategies with a series we have called Virtual Connects. These are probably 2 to 3 times a month webinars. They're panel discussions, not too different than what is going to happen today, covering topics from healthcare to technology, real estate, and so much more, usually 3 to 4 panelists. We've got a partnership with Palm Beach Tech, where we run a quarterly series called Digital South Florida, which is really interesting. And we also hold 5 awards events a year, which of course used to be in person and would attract 400 to 500 people per event. Now they are virtual. We award, we provide awards to people in the HR community, healthcare. We have our prestigious Women Awards. We have up and comers for young professionals under the age of 40, which looks like everyone on this call would probably qualify, except maybe for myself. And we also produce an annual magazine for the legal community called the South Florida Legal Guide, now in its 20th year. And lastly, we are doing something for the IT community in December. It's a feature called Leaders of IT, where we will be profiling South Florida's top technology talent in the December issue. So that's a little bit about us. And Nikki, thanks very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mark. And I actually did just want to highlight for you guys as well, is that you have your COVID comeback, which I think you kind of referred to there. It's October 8th, right?
That's correct.
Okay, because I just dropped that in the chat for everybody here in Zoom, but I just wanted for anybody that's watching on social to mention that.
Appreciate that.
Of course. And thank you so much. So to get started this morning with our discussion, I'd like actually each of our panelists, if you could tell us your name, what organization you're from, and just tell us a little bit about what you all do. And I'm actually just going to start with whoever I have first on my screen, which happens to be Shana.
Hello, good morning. Thanks, Nikki. Hi, everyone. I'm Shana Ostrovitz, the Executive Director of 1909. And I also have Yahira Rodriguez with us too. She's our community manager and keeps the whole thing afloat and everybody happy. So she'll give a little wave too and be sharing with us this morning. 1909, we are actually a nonprofit, which a lot of people do not know, serving entrepreneurs and creatives in Palm Beach County. So we do offer shared workspace as part of that mission to help in the holistic development of entrepreneurs and creatives. And we also offer programming, including accelerators, mentorship, and all kinds of different activities to really help further, the projects and initiatives that all of the amazing creators right in our backyard are working on. So that's what we're up to most days. And it looks different every day.
Thank you, Shana. I've got next on my screen, I've got Tim.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Timothy Hassey. I'm the founder and CEO of General Provision. We are a multi-location shared workspace and work club in Broward County. We're Fort Lauderdale's largest community of founders, makers, and creatives. And that's really what we focus on is serving the creative class. We do that through our workspaces, but also, as we'll get into today, our programming and events and powerful network that's here located in Fort Lauderdale.
Perfect. Thank you, Tim. And Rachel, last but not least.
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much, Nikki. My name is Rachel. I'm the managing director of the Lab Miami. We were actually the original co-working space in Miami. We started back in 2012, thanks to a grant from the Knight Foundation and our amazing co-founders who started the idea back when co-working wasn't really a concept yet, especially in Miami. So we really are the pioneers of the local Miami startup and innovation ecosystem. Currently, we offer everything from co-working memberships, private offices. We're also a very active event venue. Now we're taking our events virtually since March, but we also curate lots of really cool events virtually, and we have a podcast as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rachel. So my next question, and this is actually for each of you, is can you tell me a little bit about how you actually ended up in your position? What drove you to actually be a part of a community-driven organization?
Nikki, are we just jumping in as needed, or how should we handle the discussion from here?
Yep, whoever would like to go.
Okay, well then I will warm us up, and then by then you guys can jump in first next time. I had a serious case of FOMO As a technologist in my career prior to this, I was traveling a lot, and in the design and tech world, the OG co-working spaces around the world, even in early lab days and before that, they all looked a lot different than what they look like today. But back then, a co-working space was a warehouse in an open floor plan with no closed door offices. And I would travel to major markets for my job and see these spaces and just walk in and say, how is this a thing? This is magical. I'd meet other people. We'd collaborate. I'd push my skill limits to the test and leave that city with a new connection and with a new relationship, but also feeling refreshed and inspired. So I kept coming home to Fort Lauderdale, and we just didn't have it. And so at some point, it was really time for me to say, I need to build it if we don't have this thing. So that's how I got into the industry. It was a very different world, as Rachael can probably attest to. The old school lab days and what co-working used to be is a very different animal than it is today. But it's still that core of community and people connecting with people that keeps me inspired about the industry that we're in.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Tim. Back when I first started, I'm actually from South Carolina originally. So when I moved to Miami, I started in the executive workspace industry. I was working for a boutique executive workspace company that was focused more on executives. So it was in an A-class building, right in Brickell. We were focused on really sort of high-end clientele in a sense, corporate clients. And I absolutely fell in love with the industry. And this is right around the time that co-working was becoming sort of a trend and a topic of conversation. And I got reached out to by the lab. And the second I stepped foot into the space, I had never really been to Wynwood before either, which is completely different than like the Brickell downtown area. So the second you step into the space, it's just such a creative and different environment. And it's so unique. And there's so many innovative, amazing people just creating things from nothing. And I just got immediately inspired by all of the amazing talent I was always surrounded by. And every single day, like Shana said, is different, which is always something so exciting. And you're always learning from all these different industries and individuals and creatives. And it's just very infectious, I would say. It's a great place to be.
Yeah, I'll jump in on that too. And I feel that like the energy of a shared workspace that's full of entrepreneurs and creatives, I mean, it's hard to explain. And it's pretty incredible. You never want to leave. At least I feel like that, even when it's work. And, for me, I was actually, founder of my own startup. And my co-founders and I were starting our business about 6 years ago in, the Boca area and the Palm Beach County area. And at that time, there was really nothing for founders. We had to do a lot of work to find help, to find support, to learn what we were supposed to do. We listened to podcasts all the time from people out of Silicon Valley, which is helpful, but it's also different. It's a different market. It's a different animal. Like, it's just different. You can't take all your lessons from, a really established ecosystem for what you're doing when you're building. And I remember just feeling really alone. And, a lot of our questions that we had were just like overwhelming, and we didn't have really a lot of people to lean into. And it's actually funny, Todd's on this call, because Todd's one of the people we interacted with from a technology standpoint as founders, and one of the first people that was like, I don't think you should build that. Like, I don't like, or, kind of gave us like real feedback, no, in a good way of like, start smaller. Like, what are you really trying to accomplish? Like, really starting to ask us questions and challenge us, which is like the beauty of being around other founders and other people bringing things to life, is just the conversations you have when people are going through things and trying to figure things out, and somebody else who's been through it before, knows a little bit more in that industry, can tell you one thing that can save you, a year of work or thousands of dollars. or move your business forward. And, so for me, 1909 is kind of what I wished existed when I first started my business, and I think now, like if I was to start a totally different business, I would want to be part of 1909. I would want to be part of like a member and work out of there and go through the program. So, it's one of those things that like, if you're always learning and, trying to create something often that hasn't existed before, just being around other people and having that network of support is so invaluable. It makes all the difference in the world. And the moment I walked into 1909 and just saw other people doing that and believing in that and believing in community and the power of it, I was just like, I've arrived, like this is where I belong. So that's kind of my story into this world.
Thank you, Shana. And I don't know for you at 6 a.m. how you are so energetic right now.
Just because what we're talking about, I get really fired up.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm surprised, but so I wanted to also ask for each of you. So obviously we know that you guys have this space, right? So can you tell us a little bit about how an individual business might benefit from being a part of your community and what makes it just more than just co-working? Like what other things can they expect to get from your organizations?
I'll jump in and go first this time. So basically we offer a lot more than just the basic benefits of a co-working space, which is obviously shared costs. There's really little overhead for any entrepreneur wanting to come in and start their business or just try something out. And we don't just cater to entrepreneurs of startups. We cater to creatives, artists, anyone who can work virtually, students, pretty much anyone who just needs a place to come and a community that they want to join. So there's the basic amenities of course, the space itself, 24/7 access to the space, the high-speed Wi-Fi. You can bring your pets to the space. You can register your business here. The parking's all included, the conference room space. Besides just those basic amenities, which you can find pretty much at any co-working space, what we really offer is a community of people. And it's a community of very forward-thinking people, not necessarily from the same industries. We're not just focused on one specific industry, which I think adds a lot to the diversity of the space. And I think it adds a lot to have people from all different sorts of industries. Just yesterday, for example, we gave a tour to 2 makeup artists who are looking to find their own studio. And they were so inspired to be around a graffiti artist right next to them and a dev shop that's creating apps and websites, because they can all collaborate on some level. And I think it's really important to have a diverse group of people working together, especially when you're trying to build something from scratch. Like Shana said, you can always bounce ideas off of other founders, regardless of them being in different industries. So besides just the space itself, we really curate our community. This is our only location. We're super hyper focused just on our local community, as are these other spaces too. So besides that, we offer events, programming, all sorts of different resources for the members. We also have an accelerator program that's operating out of the space called Navigate. And they offer special perks to the members. So we really try to cater our services towards the members here, and make connections whenever we see possible. We get very familiar with everyone's business and everyone as an individual. We really get to know our members, so we're able to make key connections for them and always keep apprised of, oh, hey, you should know about this, you should know about this. So we really try to curate a very active community that's conducive for innovation, creativity, and really just a healthy environment that's contributing to the good in our local ecosystem.
Yeah, I'll jump in. It's like, I love being on this call because when I hear Rachel and Tim speak, I'm like, yes, like I feel like we all have, and we're like all nodding along, right? Like, yes, this is, the goal and what we believe in, and so much, similarity across the board, which is awesome. And I think I can share a lot of, similarities around 1909, what Rachel shared in terms of, the space and amenities and, the overhead. And when you think about being a new Business owner and entrepreneur and the certain things that you need. Before really shared workspace, it was almost impossible to have, all of those things. Most people worked out of coffee shops. A lot of people still do to get free internet and, a plug and a place to stay and like being around other people. But, having, a community that's curated, as Rachel mentioned, and diverse, that's kind of, we look at the space as like the house of that. It really is housing all of the things that we actually provide. The space is kind of the vessel to deliver it. But, and that's what makes it special is everybody's kind of intentionally there, believing in the idea that they want to meet other people, they want to connect with other people, they want to get help, they want to help others, and it just makes the energy really special. So, we do have all kinds of, conference rooms and the space and all of that, and we've definitely, and I cannot take credit for this. The design of the space was done by Danielle Casey, but it's really meant to inspire collaboration ideas. There's a lot of, you can see in the background of here, like hangout chairs where people can just sit on the swings and talk, or sit on couches and, just really like get to know one another, which is really important. And then one of the things I want to, highlight for sure is our accelerator program, which we focus really heavily on. So we do that 6 months of the year. We have 20 founders in that right now, and we've partnered with the city of West Palm Beach to put that on with a focus on diversity. So it's majority minority, and just really helping founders get to know each other and work with each other and learn from one another. And a big piece of that as well, which we focus on, is mentorship, and mainly peer mentorship. So bringing in people who have done it and are older and have been successful is awesome, and we do that a lot, but we also heavily encourage people to learn from one another, because most of the people in our space are experts in something they do, and they're in the know of what's going on now, the latest technology, the latest design ideas, the latest of what's going on in our community. And so that's really important to us, is creating that peer mentorship opportunity, which we do through lots of our different programs, and really kind of giving ownership to the members in our space. So definitely, I would say there's just it's the community, it's the people, and working together, learning from one another. And we've done a lot of that virtually the past couple months, as Rachel also alluded to. So we had to learn how to shift everybody to virtual. But it was really great, actually, that we saw people show up. We do a early morning risers on Monday morning, and then we do a connection call on Friday afternoon. And people get to come on Monday and kind of share what their goals are for the week, what they're up to, and all those things, which, is more important than ever, of everybody kind of being alone and at home. And then on Friday, we get to like talk about our highs and lows and celebrate the wins and share what people actually did accomplish, and just kind of close out the week together. And it's been so nice to have that, during kind of this crazy time where everyone's been adapting and feeling alone a lot. So and I don't know, I saw you here type something, so you can feel free to drop it. Oh, sometimes we cry on calls. That is true. It has been an emotional time, and that is something real, right? Like people, especially business owners, creatives, founders, like people are going through a lot right now. Adapting, they're, concerned for themselves and their families, they're concerned for their businesses, their lifestyles have changed. Their schedules have changed. It is a lot. So, that's something that's super important to us, is opening up a space for vulnerability and just letting people share that and know that they have people next to them, even if it's through a screen, to really support them through that. We even have a little run club that started. So on Thursday mornings, we have members that get together and run together. And they just completed a triathlon together this past Sunday, which was pretty amazing. So it's just awesome to see that. And, members really own that.
Cool. I can kind of just throw in my 2 cents of what makes GP a little bit more than just an office, which is a really exciting part of the invite for this talk, because that's really been one of our mantras since the beginning, is that we're so much more than an office. And it's an important part of the message that we continue to put out there, because the office is needed. Co-working, though, is just a piece of what we do, just like our other panelists today. So what GP does different is work-life integration. It's not just about the space, and there's no other time that can better illustrate it than in a pandemic world. We have to be, we've always had to have been more than just an office. As a young startup that's scrappy and underfunded, we have to be a lot more than just a building that somebody can outspend or outbuy. So it's always been about an experience that's unmatched in any other place of work. So we call ourselves a work club. It's about having an end-to-end experience that includes wellness. We're big coffee addicts, so we have a private coffee shop with a dedicated barista. It's a real concierge approach to community building and getting stuff done. That really comes from my upbringing. I was a child of a small motel owner on the beach in a small sleepy beach town. So I grew up learning how to take care of people, watching my family do that. And so our experience is really what makes us more than an office. And it's your favorite coffee shop meets your favorite hotel lobby, and that's your headquarters as a place to work. And we're going to continue to build out that experience. Everything that my colleagues said here, powerful community is massively important, and it takes a whole lot of work to do that well. We'll probably talk more about that today on the call, but one of the most overused and skeptical terms, but also my favorite term, is community, right? Like, I'm here for the community, but it gets thrown out to the point where the term is diluted. And I think that when you have community builders that actually understand it, you kind of have this bittersweet connotation and relationship with that term. But it's a really, really important part of what we all do, as you heard, magnified this morning. But it also takes a formula and some real skill to do that well. And I think that's what is really what we're learning is setting us apart, and what's making our communities all collectively proliferate, because we do it well. We care about our local communities, and we've found a way to build that in a healthy manner.
Thank you, all of you, for telling us a little bit more about each of your organizations. I did want to give a second to Todd. I know he had a question for you all.
Yeah, thanks, Nikki. I know that when COVID first hit back, when people first went into quarantine back in March, that there was like a mass exodus from a lot of the co-working spaces. But Shana, when you talked about people working at coffee shops, I immediately thought, like, with the pervasiveness of these Zoom calls, these don't lend themselves well to a coffee shop environment. So do you see people, for that and for the community reasons and all the reasons you said, do you see people now coming more back to co-working space? Like, are you seeing, and also, are you seeing maybe an uptick? Because I know a lot of the co-working spaces that are just co-working spaces and aren't doing the things that, Rachael and Tim and Shana are doing, probably didn't survive, or at least struggled. So are you seeing like people wanting to come back more because of the community and the ability to be in a quiet room like Tim and for the Zoom calls?
Definitely, yeah, and I'm sure, and I saw Tim and Rachael nodding, so we are definitely seeing that. People are so thirsty to be around others, and to, kind of be out of their homes and be back to the community, and as you here said, to regain their sanity. So we've not only seen our members really excited to be able to get back into the space in new ways, even with things changed and seating different and all of that, but wearing masks, like, people really want to be there. And then, yeah, a new wave of people who probably never considered a shared workspace. You're seeing a lot of people who maybe had their own office space and now are just realizing it doesn't make sense for them. We are also seeing people who were working, in companies who might never go back to having an office space themselves, but they want to be around people. We're seeing a lot of people who were laid off who are like, hey, this is my moment. I've always wanted to start that company or bring that idea to life. And like, now is the time. So it's just, we're seeing like humans, I think, are definitely realizing they want to be with each other. They need community. And those of us, I think, who have been actively curating, as Tim said, working really hard to create that space, I think, are seeing You know, just people really gravitating towards what we do, who maybe wouldn't have before. So I'll let, you know, Rachel and Tim chime in on that as well, but that's kind of what we're seeing.
Well, I've seen this cycle. I mean, we've really have found a way to continue the mission that we have always done throughout COVID, and fortunately for us, it's starting to pay dividends. I think the key move for us when COVID began, it's, you know, at its height, was for us to bring GP to people's doorsteps, right? So we really went all in on creating a remote work club and bringing the general provision experience to people's homes or wherever they work. And that was really a continuation of what we already did, but we had to rethink some critical things. But to answer your question, we're growing quicker now than we've ever grown. The product that's currently being purchased, right, is a little bit different, right? The offices aren't filling up as quick as they once were, but the flexible memberships, our community is growing faster than it ever has. And I think it's an acceleration of the cycle that we already knew. We typically have seen people graduate from the home office to the coffee shop and then into a co-working space. That's always been the cycle that we've always watched our people go through, right? You think you've hit the jackpot when you work from home, and then you realize the distractions, the insanity, the pets, the laundry, et cetera. And then you go to the coffee shop, and then you realize the Wi-Fi is terrible, it's too noisy,
So
et cetera, et cetera.
they're leapfrogging the coffee shop.
It seems to be an accelerated sales cycle or evolution for us. And that seems to be a positive for us at this point. And not to mention, we just, you know, if everyone's at home, it's just, I've kind of mentioned throughout the last 6 months that as long as we can get through purgatory quickly, right? Like we're stuck in this, are we closed, are we open? And we're kind of like, are we in, are we out? And once we kind of get on the other side of that, when we settle into work from home is real, that's going to be really good for our collective businesses. At least that's what my forecast is.
Yeah, that's really encouraging to hear that you all are sharing similar experiences. For us, it's of course been somewhat of a roller coaster ride since March. Like you mentioned, Todd, there was a max exodus from the space. A lot of members had to cancel their memberships very abruptly. Of course, we were very understanding because these are all small business owners. Everyone was affected differently with the coronavirus, either from, you know, an emotional standpoint, a business standpoint. So we've really had to adjust very quickly. But now that things are opening back up, I mean, in Miami, we had like a full lockdown. It was really intense here for a while. It's been so many ups and downs of different messaging, and one day things are all closed. The next day they're telling businesses, oh, you have to do this, this, and this, and this. And then the mayor basically distributed this extremely long document with all these different rules and regulations, and every business owner is just trying to figure it out. So it's been a very interesting experience for sure. But now that things are sort of normalizing, people have gotten used to, okay, this is the reality, and I have to move on and continue to operate, whatever that looks like. People definitely, for the most part, are seeing that working from home is not always what it's, you know, everything that they can do. They can't be around their kids 24/7 on a Zoom call, all the distractions. They are longing for human connection and community. So we've seen a bunch of actually old members that we haven't seen in a long time come back. And that has been really cool to see. We've been offering day passes and office passes, so people can come work from a private office or the co-working space just for a day. And that's been a really popular option for people. And Todd, you mentioned the coffee shop scenario, and we actually have the guy who runs our filtered water system. He would travel all over South Florida servicing these filtered water systems, and he would just work from coffee shops. And of course, coffee shops shut down. So he would actually come in and do day passes here with us because he has no other option. People don't necessarily feel safe working out of a coffee shop. They want to be around sort of entrepreneurs, not just, random people. They want their community to be smaller and more intentional. So I definitely have seen an uptick in a bunch of different types of memberships, not what we were experiencing in February, but it's definitely an uptick in growth overall.
On the coffee side, I love that, Tim. I love that you have your own barista, but I also have to just throw out that 1909, they have a coffee startup as one of their members. So it's hard to compete with the coffee at 1909.
Nice.
Yeah, we have cold brew from Candid. I got to give them a shout out. They only do cold brew and they're a startup and they're awesome. And then we have our Chickmonk Coffee, who is another one of our startups in our accelerator. And it's so fun too to have them be a part of it. It's like, it just makes it all really full circle. I love it. But I would love a barista making me lattes too, so I have to figure out how to make that happen. That sounds pretty good.
At Boca Code, I'm the barista making lattes.
Quick question. Since you said you kind of have a mini cafe, I have to ask, is there snacks, Tim?
We have a full cafe. It's not really a mini cafe. We have a full menu, and we also have, I'm a technologist, so our big investment over the years has been just building IP and building a platform. So we actually have a chatbot system that you can order coffee from your desk and our barista brings it to you. And you can book your meeting rooms from our chatbot. And so that's the experience that you get at GP. And that's really what leveraging that is what really allowed us to bridge to the COVID world a lot easier, because it's just an extension of the platform that we were already building. The features that are being rolled out right now are that we're trying to take some of the community manager load off of the human's hands so that we can just get more activity moving. We use this term work-life integration. And what I mean by that is, even though I want everyone to have full balance and to avoid hustle culture and to not work all night, the reality is people need to do what they need to do, and we can help provide a platform for some healthy work culture. But if somebody is working at 11:30 at night, not only is our space 24/7, but if they need a connection, they can talk to our virtual community manager and find somebody that's a designer by just Slack messaging our bots. And that's the experience that we're trying to expand upon, because that goes well beyond just the walls of general provision.
Yeah, I know we're moving on to another question, but I do have to say, like, embedding technology in what we do has been super helpful in creating and having that supplemental way to engage community all the time and all day, and allowing people to have ownership of that. So I think that's a really great point, Tim, is like that is very helpful in terms of engaging and building the community within and outside of the space. I mean, we have people that are sitting in the space literally slacking each other all day. And so, just embracing it and again, kind of using it to support everything else has been really important. I think people that do that well will probably see the benefits and have seen the benefits during this time for sure.
Thank you for that. And actually, I was really happy you asked that question, Todd, because I know that was one of my questions on my list, was kind of how you guys have worked through the pandemic and kind of how that changed things. So I thank you for that, Todd. I did want to ask just one more question before I've got kind of like a rapid fire for each of you. I've got one specific question, but I did just want to ask, how does your organization overall support diversity, inclusion? I mean, I know, at least just being in the 1909 space and seeing general provision as well, is that, you have a communities, I think all three of you, that are really diverse, with people with different skill sets, gender backgrounds, cultural backgrounds. But can you tell me a little bit about what are some of the ways that you've seen that being such diverse, community-driven organizations has actually benefited some of your individuals in the space?
Yeah, I'll jump in and start that one. And this was part of the 1909, kind of mission before I even arrived. But I think, and one of the reasons it was created the way it was this idea that you need to have different people working together to get the best outcomes. It is not an afterthought for us. It's literally who we are. We fully believe, and as I mentioned, you need all these different backgrounds and experiences and perspectives to bring ideas to life, to be creative, to come up with whatever the next big thing is and do it well. And so, for us, it's actually something that we really focus on and we speak to in our messaging, and we build our programming around. Our accelerator is probably one of the only, and actually I know that the others have accelerators, so it might be the same. But within the respective space that I had seen, that was not just focused on technology companies. I mean, it was one of those things of saying, businesses every business uses technology now anyways, but to really say that, we want to help health and wellness companies grow. We have someone who's doing, this whole grow box and like grow produce at your home, and that's her business, and it's going to take off and soar. And she and she's a native of Haiti, and she's part of this amazing women's collective called Carnal Moon, which is just the most powerful Black women you've ever seen, just taking on the world and helping each other. And that contributes to our community more than anything we could do, more than the coffee we can offer, more than, the lessons that we teach in the class. When you bring a diverse group of people together to listen to one another, to share, and again, to bring their perspectives and backgrounds. It's incredible what can be creative. We had, a little collab day. Todd was actually there, where we just brought a bunch of people together to work on 4 projects in one day. It was an 8-hour window, and everybody had different backgrounds, and everybody was paired with different groups, and it was insane what came to be because of that. So for me, it's just like a no-brainer. It is who we are. It's a part of our identity, is just being diverse and focusing on that and making sure that we are building that into everything that we do.
Yeah, that's so important. I will definitely add to that, Shana, and say that diversity and inclusion are definitely part of our core business as well. It's really what makes us us. It's really the core of what we're doing and why we're doing it. And I think one thing that we do that really encourages inclusivity and diversity is every single person who walks through our door, it doesn't matter what you look like, how old you are, who you are, where you come from, what language you're speaking, we treat every single person the same. Whether you're delivering our mail, whether you're delivering an Uber Eats, whether you're an investor, whether you're a startup owner, whether you're a founder, whether you're a student, whoever it is, we always treat every single person who walks in the door like family. And that has really helped us connect with people on a very deep level because this is a family, and people immediately feel that connection and acceptance and just warmth and love as soon as they walk in the door. And that's something that's so important. Going back to Tim's background with hospitality, I mean, we are in the hospitality industry as well. So definitely catering to every single person, treating them with kindness, respect, across the board. It just creates an environment where people know that that's the norm, and immediately their defenses come down when they walk into the door and get to know this space. It's a very safe space. It's a very safe space to make mistakes. It's a safe space to try out your dreams and experiment and do everything that you really want to accomplish here. Because you have a community who will bounce ideas off each other. They have your back. People really do protect and look out for each other here. And on top of that, we have so many different industries, people, age groups working out of the space. We have students, which I love when a student gets a membership here. We had just yesterday, one of our students come in, she needed to take a quiz. So she came in super late at night, and she used our computer because her computer wasn't working, and she's studying music theory, and she's like a brilliant violinist, and she'll come here on the weekends and she'll practice her violin. And then on top of that, we have a graffiti artist who does all this amazing street art throughout the the neighborhood who connected with her on what she's doing in her art. And then we have 2 lawyers working at the space who have a family and they come here every day and have their own law firm together, husband and wife. And then we have an accelerator program. We have developers. We have so many different types of people, but I think the commonality, that's the glue that holds everyone together, is just everyone's here for the reason and purpose of really contributing to making our community and ecosystem a better place. And everyone is like-minded in their forward-thinking perspective. And everyone, I would say, who comes into this space is at a very high level in their how they process information, how they view the world. So it makes for an incredibly rich environment where you have just the most fascinating conversations about literally everything and everything all day long. So it's really amazing to be around.
Yeah, I'll just add that we're 6 years into this thing, and even though we're quite proud of where we started, and much like 1909, where we formed our first space in a CRA district of Fort Lauderdale, which is a very diverse area with a lot of exciting cultural startups and art in the art and tech district of Fort Lauderdale. But despite us being pretty motivated to open our doors for a lot of inclusive groups, we've been the host of Black Tech Week. We've been we've partnered with Dream Defenders for Broward County a number of times on events in the past. I think 2020 brought about some uncomfortable discussions around how important it is to not just rest on the laurels of our past. And we're really proud to just march forward to say that we need to do better in tech and in entrepreneurship. And part of that discomfort is just taking action. And currently, we're involved in the Built in Broward initiative, which was a grant that the Broward County Library initiated. So we're currently seeking some additional partners to hit our goal of putting 100 memberships to general provision into the underserved community. But we're going to continue to roll through and find new programs and ways to not just talk about the diversity gap in tech and entrepreneurship, but actually try to do our part to close it. It's not something that I think that that this year has really shaped things, hopefully for the better going forward for us. And if this were a normal year, I think we would probably say, well, we're doing pretty good. But I think when we're talking about 2020 and the pain that we're seeing in our communities directly, I think there's nothing that can be ignored going forward. So we're really motivated to do better. And I think that we're starting to uncover how we can take that stance to say that the gap is real. We don't have enough diversity in technology. We don't have enough minorities starting companies. And even though, much like I'm sure our collective communities might have various groups of diverse humans walking in and out the doors, the reality is, if we're talking about the tech community, if we're talking about the entrepreneurial community, there's still a massive gap between people of color and what I look like. And we got to do a better job. So the conversation needs to continue, but action is what it takes from here.
Yeah, I agree with you, Tim, and thank you for that. I mean, I have to say also, just to give a quick shout out here, is one of the members that's in 1909 is actually Path to College. They work with low income but very high achieving students. And actually, we decided this year for our interns, for our fall interns, to say, okay, we're going to make a difference and let's actually target, this organization, see if we can actually find some really high achieving students from a diverse background. And so we actually have 2. So shout out to Jose and Sandrine that come from diverse backgrounds that, we feel like we could really support and actually taking action. So you were talking a lot about like actually doing something and having the action behind it instead of saying, hey, this is what we stand for. So I really appreciate, that sentiment of what you were saying too, Tim. We've got right about 5 minutes left. So I want to do a really quick rapid fire here. I've got a question for each of you. So in about 60 seconds, I'm going to start with Shana. So in 1909's manifesto, it says, we're unapologetically experimenting. What does this expression mean to you?
So we look at ourselves kind of like a science lab, right? When you're bringing ideas to life and businesses to life, you have to be comfortable experimenting. It's very rare that, the first thing that pops into somebody's mind is what comes out. And, one of the things, and Rachael kind of spoke about creating a safe space earlier, is creating a safe space for that, for the messiness, for the mistakes, for the trials and tribulations, because really to do something special and to bring it to the world, you have to be able to do that. You have to be able to experiment. And so we really want to encourage that. We want to let people know, like, you don't have to tell us you're perfect. You don't have to tell us you figured it all out. You don't have to tell us what your projections are for the future, in terms of revenue, because I know you don't actually know the answer to that. And it's really like just allowing people to experiment and have fun and mess up and provide the freedom and safety net to do so. And so we highly encourage that, talk about people to talk about what they're trying out and not be afraid that it's not perfect or it's not organized or professional enough to share out to the world, because we know that that's just the way people get better and ideas get better. And, I think we have a lot of people who are going to change the future. And, as Tim said, like, there's a lot of work to do. And I think a lot of the people that work in our spaces are the ones that are going to make that happen. And so finding ways to support and encourage that and allow it to be a little messy is important to us. So it's definitely a big piece of our culture, is the mess and the imperfection and the experimentation.
Perfect. Yes. And I love that about 1909. The next question I've got here is for Rachael. So Lab Miami is located right in the heart of Wynwood, the art district. So can you tell us a little bit about why this area was chosen, and how do you think it actually attracts the entrepreneurial movement and keeps that moving forward?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So back in 2012, when the co-founders were looking for a space to establish the lab, Wynwood was really, at the time, a very emerging neighborhood. Historically, Wynwood has been a manufacturing neighborhood, and it's all warehouses. Tony Goldman, at the time, he's the main real estate developer behind the vision of Wynwood and curating it as an arts district. So this was sort of happening at the same time that the co-founders were looking for the right space. And besides, of course, getting an amazing deal and being able to, get an incredible deal with a warehouse and a building and the build out and all of that, I think when you establish a business like the lab in an emerging neighborhood, you're really buying into the vision of the area and what you want long term. And I feel like everyone was on the same page of, okay, this is a very grassroots organization. This is a very grassroots movement that we're starting, and the lab is the same. So it made all the sense in the world for them to take the chance and choose Wynwood, because now, of course, Wynwood has become this booming neighborhood, super vibrant, with amazing artists that come from all over the world and do different murals. And we host Art Basel every year, except for 2020. And it's just like an amazing destination that tourists come to see from all over the world. And when you're an entrepreneur and you're a creative person and you think out of the box, Wynwood is very appealing, because immediately when you drive into Wynwood, your senses are stimulated with all the incredible artwork. It's just a very different and unique environment to grow your business. And I think that appeals to a lot of people, just how different and unique it is.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Rachael. I know even though I've been down there quite a few times, I still feel like a tourist. I'm still taking pictures and have to stand next to all the murals, and it definitely is a different feel for sure. So to Tim, my question to you is, so General Revision has a full new wellness program. So I've seen meditation and yoga and so forth. Can you explain what's the philosophy behind that program?
Sure. Yeah. So we went a lot deeper in our COVID response to round out our definition of wellness. When we were allowed to be around each other, we always had a monthly yoga program and monthly massage program and ongoing wellness challenges. But we went as far as hiring a weekly yoga instructor, bringing in partnerships for weekly meditation. So that offering is much deeper now. And really that comes from some core values that I was exposed to I brought this to now every company that I've founded, but I was exposed to an idea called the 8 TLCs by a doctor named Roger Walsh. And the TLCs are therapeutic lifestyle changes. And basically there's these 8 ideas that contribute to overall better well-being. And I really align with this, but these the 8 TLCs being exercise, diet, time in nature, relationship, recreation, meditation, or spiritual activity, and contribution to your community or service work. And so I have always just kind of bought into that. If you're touching these 8 things, I do think that you live a more healthy and productive life. And so, it's a cultural thing that I brought to my first startup. And I think that in many ways, our members are coming to GP seeking a part of that, right? Even though it's very easy to shorthand our service by calling us a co-working space or an office. That's not what our members come to us for, right? So the community has been echoed many times today. It's massively important, but people are raising their hands and say, like, I've never done entrepreneurship, just much like Shana mentioned today. I've never started something before. Like, isn't GP a place where I can be exposed to this decentralized tech culture, right? And so it's a hack for building a company, of course, but it's also a hack for having a healthy day-to-day balanced work-life experience. And so the wellness program is just a part of our service that allows you to maintain that balance and to find that equilibrium that is really required to do your best work. So it's driven by the 8 TLCs. We're proud of where it's come. We're proud to continue to invest in it. And, it's part of community building for us to kind of get people involved in those initiatives, but they seem to be doing well. We're going to continue to try to find ways to expand the program. My dream is that not only will we have these live meditation and yoga sessions that we currently do, but to go deeper and have them on demand, where they're currently in a platform on our website, on our members portal for on-demand viewing. But my dream is that if you are at the office or at the home office at 8:30 p.m., you can ask our bot for an on-demand yoga session, and we just serve that to you. So that's where we're going next. It's in the hopper, the features in development, but that's the kind of vision that we have, and that's really where the wellness program came from.
That's wonderful. Thank you, team. And I think, and thank you all, for joining us too, because I was just looking at the time. We were right on time. So I think that's a perfect place to stop. And I just wanted to kind of close this out by saying, one of the reasons why we titled this More Than Just Co-working is obviously because after this conversation, you can see that it's very community driven. Like many of you have said, it's all about the mess and all about the people and very community driven. So I just want to thank all of you for everything that you guys are doing in our communities and building, such strong communities in each of these spaces. Because obviously we've got Miami, Broward, and Palm Beach County all represented here. So thank you guys again for showing up so early this morning and telling us a little bit about what you do. For anybody that's watching on social, I will be getting some information from each of the organizations, and we can do a follow-up and send this out to everybody if anybody would like some more information. But thanks again to all of you. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Nikki. Thanks,
Thanks
everybody.
for having me.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.